All right, let's talk about poetry. We're going to pull back the curtain and figure out what really makes it tick. Because it's not just about the words a poet picks, it's about how they put them on the page. That's where the real magic happens. So, let's dive in.
You know that feeling when you read a poem and it just hits you a certain way? There's a rhythm, a mood, but you can't quite explain why? Well, it's not magic. It's something way cooler. It's structure. Think of it like a secret code that poets use to guide how we read and feel. And today, we're going to crack that code together.
So, how do they do it? Well, every poet has a kind of toolkit. And we're going to look at the 4 most important, most fundamental tools they use to build a poem right from the ground up.
Okay, first up, the most basic building block of all, the line. Seriously, it's like a single Lego piece, just one row of words. But where a poet decides to end that line, that is one of the biggest, most powerful choices they can make.
Now, what happens when you start clicking those Lego pieces, those lines, together? You get a stanza. It's that chunk of text you see on the page, and it pretty much works just like a paragraph in a story. It's all about organizing different ideas or images.
And here's where the music comes in. Rhythm, it's the beat of the poem. You know, that pattern that makes you want to tap your foot or read it in a certain way. It comes from the sounds of the words, and this is super important, those little pauses the poet creates at the end of each line.
And finally, we've got repetition. This one's pretty straightforward. When a poet really wants you to get something, they just say it again. Repeating a word or a phrase makes that idea stick in your head. It's simple, but man, is it effective.
All right, enough with the definitions. The best way to get this stuff is to see it in action, right? So let's take everything we just learned and use it to decode a quick little poem. Let's see how these pieces actually build something.
Okay, here it is. Just take a second and read it out loud, or even just in your head. Feel the way it moves. Rushing water over stone. It sings a song, to me alone. You feel that flow?
Okay, first things first. Let's put on our detective hats. Super simple question. How many lines are we looking at here?
Yep, 4. Easy, right? 4 distinct rows. But remember, each one of those breaks was a choice. The poet is totally in control of our pacing with that simple tool.
All right, next question. How are those lines grouped together? How many of those poem paragraphs do you see?
Just one. They're all bundled together in a single block. That gives the poem this really compact, complete feeling, doesn't it? Like one whole thought presented all at once.
Now, here's what's so cool about all this. These technical choices, they're not just for show. They are specifically designed to make you feel something. Let's look at another poem where you can really see how the structure creates the entire mood.
Check this one out. As I read it, pay attention to the actual shape of it on the screen. One sound, soft and strong, beats steady. See that? The mix of those really short and longer lines gives it a rhythm that almost feels like a real heartbeat. It's incredible.
Okay, let's zoom way in on that very first line. Just 2 words, one sound. The poet could have kept going, right? They could have written, one sound beats softly in my chest, all on one line. But they didn't, and that choice is everything.
So think about it. When you're reading along and you suddenly hit a line that's only 2 words long, what does that do to you? How does it change the way you experience those 2 specific words?
It makes you stop. It forces you to pause, right? It creates this little pocket of silence around the words one sound. And that gives them so much more weight, so much more importance before the rest of the poem unfolds. It's all on purpose.
So, knowing how these tools work isn't just about analyzing somebody else's poetry. It's about knowing that you have these tools too. It empowers us to use our own words with real intention, with real purpose.
Okay, so it's your turn. No pressure. This is just for fun. Give it a shot. Try to write a little 4-line stanza. Just play around with making one line super short and one line a bit longer. See what kind of rhythm you can create. Go on, you can pause right here and try it.
And you know, this whole idea of using structure to create power, it's not new at all. It's ancient. In fact, if you look at a lot of ancient Hebrew poetry, like the Psalms, it wasn't always about rhyming. Its incredible emotional power comes from the careful, deliberate use of rhythm and repetition. Take this line from Psalm 18. "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer." Do you see what's happening? It's repeating the same core idea, but stacking these powerful images one on top of the other. That structure builds this overwhelming feeling of strength and safety. That's the power of intentional word choice.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's that the choices we make with our words, the very structure and shape of them, have real, tangible power.
And honestly, this goes way beyond just writing poetry or sounding smart. The real point is about taking what you know and using it to make good choices. Choices that build people up, choices that connect instead of divide, choices that just don't cause hurt.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. When we're intentional with our minds, when we make those wise, careful choices with our words and our actions, the result isn't just a powerful poem. It's life, and it's peace.